What's going on, Neon Nation, and welcome back to the Neon Arcade for your Cyberpunk 2077 news update. This time on all the details and news from the biggest Night City wire showcasing yet, which showed off the vehicles and fashion of Night City, featuring 2 brand new gameplay trailers and a CGI trailer. We'll also go over a new interview with senior level designer Tost, and some partnership news from CDPR and Cyberpunk that will make you realize just how widespread the marketing for this game is. Before we start, grab some high quality metal art from Displayed featuring official designs from the likes of Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher, and more. First up, yes, we finally got Night City Wire Episode 4, this time opening up with a trailer on the vehicles of Cyberpunk. We got to see the diverse array of cars and their variants, which I know a ton of you guys were itching to see. Personally, I definitely prefer to drive vehicles in third person just because it's easier, but Cyberpunk 2077 is making a strong case for first person driving with their handcrafted interiors. Vehicles will not only look unique, but they will handle differently depending on the variant and of course model. The first subclass of cars are the economy vehicles, which feature the manufacturers of Thornton, Archer, and Makigai, which are for the budget conscious edge runners and will likely be your ride at the beginning of your adventures through Night City. Again, I'll go into more detail in my trailer analysis videos for both the vehicle and the style in Night City trailers. You can also hijack vehicles, but remember this is an RPG and you will need a certain technical skill or perk to even be able to attempt to open cars. The second subclass is the executive class, which are some of the more luxurious rides driven by the social and corporate elite. We have manufacturers Villefort, Chevelon, and Delamain, which actually is an AI taxi service, so I'm not sure how this fits into the player driving. Maybe he acts as some sort of bonus GPS navigation service as you drive. Heavy duty vehicles include the largest vehicles and trucks in Night City, with newcomer Kaukaz as well as Arasaka and Militech all having offerings in this category. I know sports vehicles are going to be fan favorites, which include Quadra and Mizutani and their countless models and gang specific variants. My favorite class of cars are the top echelon of the hypercars, including Rayfield and Herrera. We also do have original vehicles that are taken straight from real life and the Cyberpunk lore, including this Johnny Silverhand Porsche, which Silverhand actually drove in the 2020 source material, as well as a bike from Keanu Reeves' very own motorcycle company. Part of Night City Wire Episode 4 was showing off the collaboration between CDPR and Keanu to incorporate his vehicle, as well as how they recorded audio from real life bikes and cars to gather all the different signature sounds. By the way, Porsche also revealed a new trailer featuring the 911 Turbo Silverhand car, and CDPR has been busy working on collaborations with other companies that we will get to later on. CDPR didn't really show the types of bikes in the vehicles trailer, although we did get screenshots later on showing off various types of Yaiba Kuzunagi's, the Arch bike, as well as others from Brennan Cycles. Piggybacking off of that, we got high-res screenshots of the vehicles we did see, and although I'm not a super hardcore car guy, I do have to admit they all look absolutely stunning in their own right. I'm going to put these all on screen for you guys to ogle at, so skip ahead if you want to get to the next topic. Just as some roundup points from the vehicle inside section, junkier versions of the same car will handle differently and be slower than the more souped up models. Racing is a feature of the game both in the city and the Badlands, and you can buy vehicles from fixers. A clothing and fashion trailer was also shown off at episode 4 of The Wire, which was my personal highlight, showing off the bombastic colors and flavors of kitsch, neo-militarism, and anthropism. The trailer did showcase our first look at the new character creator, and I'm pleased to say that they ditched the worn out brown color for the original much more cyberpunky red. Again, look out for my analysis in the coming weeks. Getting back to the visual styles, they do extend to cars, clothes, guns, implants, and the trailer goes on to mention how these styles came to be whilst showing off some of the tenets of their respective designs. Honestly, I love them all, but my personal favorite has to be the style over substance of kitsch, although me personally in real life I probably dress more along the lines of anthropism. Lizzie Wizzy aka Grimes was shown off, who is a famous pop and braindance star in Night City. We get our first listen to some voiceover work done by Grimes, who is known for her subtle lisp. The trailer ends with some more gameplay focused segments with some of that cinematic slow-mo that we all know and love. Night City Wire wraps up with the dinner CGI trailer, again another one of my favorites, highly detailed and interwoven with some of the scenes from the Seize the Day and No Limits trailers. Notice how V doesn't have implants in the diner scene, which might indicate that if this is true to the game, that this happens quite early on. Overall, this is probably my number 1 or number 2 Night City Wire thus far, and I cannot wait for what will likely be the final wire weeks or days before release. The cosplay contest was also concluded with some incredible submissions, but in the end the Dum Dum cosplay by Tingilia Cosplay won, which I think was very well deserved, and there was also the announcement that Cyberpunk will be coming to Stadia on November 19th, instead of months down the line. Post Night City Wire, there was an AMA with Miles Tost, led by Alana Pierce and Jesse Cox, so let's dive into some of the Q&As from this segment. Getting into the first question, Miles was asked about if the styles and clothing options are attributed to certain regions. Miles responds that they really had to sit down and come up with the history and styles and how they evolved, and thus demographics and social status are connected to style. Entropism is the look of poorer areas, whereas neo-kitsch dominates the wealthy ones. Cars, devices, and even vending machines will abide by the 4 different styles, along with other elements like architecture, clothing, and implants mentioned in the wire. Miles was also asked about weather effects in the day and night cycle. As we know, there is a full dynamic day and night cycle, and you can see the day turn to night, and in the process, the lights of Night City turning on, and a general reduction to the NPC density on the busier arteries. Tost mentions, however, that daytime can be more dangerous in some senses than night. When it comes to weather, NPCs will react to weather patterns by taking out umbrellas or heading for cover, and you can notice small details like puddles forming on the streets, which will inevitably dry up when the sun comes back out. The combination of time of day and the weather effects can make each location look very differently, and Miles mentions that it's hard to pick a favorite combination of the weather, time of day, and district. We also had a question about if there were any areas that you could only access with the double jump. Miles responds that he's not sure about accessibility being tied to these upgrades, including the double jump, but he does mention that you can benefit via getting the shortcuts or higher ground for aerial takedowns. He personally doesn't know every nook and cranny of Night City, however, and he wouldn't be surprised if there was loot or something like that only accessible via a double jump implemented by another level designer. There was also a question regarding stealing cars and keeping them, to which Miles responded that you can steal cars, but you will not be able to keep them. To steal cars, you need to spec into either strength or technical abilities, with the former allowing you to rip open doors and throw people out of their cars, and the latter being the ability to hack into parked, unguarded vehicles. You will be able to acquire a collection of cars via other means, and you'll also be able to decide which car suits a particular occasion by being able to summon them similarly to Roach via a drop-down menu. Miles goes on to mention that you can mix and match styles, and that there will be full outfits to equip, and that occasionally you will have to dress up for certain quests. This is most likely in reference to dressing up as an Arasaka agent to steal the Relic Immortality chip, and we have seen this before in The Witcher. In terms of sound design and music, Tost also does say that when walking around, there won't be a ton of ambient music, but instead the natural sounds of a bustling city, including the chatter of people, adds in different languages amongst a myriad of other things. Music will kick in at cool story moments and during combat, and most gangs will have unique combat tracks. There will also be radio stations, and again Night City Wire 4 showcased a diverse array of sounds. Puzzles and platforming will be featured in Cyberpunk 2077 at some moments, and again there is a double jump and something called the charge jump to help with these moments. When asked if there are special loot or cars in the game, Miles responds with a simple yes, that they will have special items, and when pushed about the presence of the Cybertruck, Miles responds that they haven't talked to Elon about having this in the game, although because Miles is so pure, you can pretty much see straight through this lie. I'm willing to bet we will see the Cybertruck at some point, knowing that 2077's connection to Elon Musk is not only in social media banter, but his girlfriend Grimes also stars in the game. The final question of interest in the AMA is if we can rob people's cyberware. Miles responds that it took a while for them to figure this out, but ultimately, they came to the conclusion that you can loot cybernetics in some scenarios. This is awesome news since the last time this was mentioned, around 2018, we were unable to do this. Finally, wrapping up today's news segments, we have some very interesting collaborations for CDPR and Cyberpunk 2077 with this Old Spice deodorant and shower gel kit, although I doubt gamers will be showering at all for at least a couple days after launch, as well as a Cyberpunk 2077 smartphone collaboration with a limited edition OnePlus phone. This does seem to be a China exclusive, but at this point Cyberpunk 2077 has slapped their name on so many products that I wouldn't be surprised if we get some Mr. Stud Magnums in the future. Not since Call of Duty or maybe even Halo have I seen a video game franchise with such widespread licensing when it comes to products. Anyways, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. We just hit 60k subs, and Cyberpunk is just around 30 days away, so we're almost there. For more Cyberpunk, you already know what to do. Join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.